Imagine for a second you are an EU business. Doesn't matter what you be importing from the UK. It could be, well, as we're about to talk about, beetroots. Could be lamb. Could be chicken. Who knows? Could be wood, timber, construction materials. Maybe you get some manufacturing parts. Maybe you're importing car parts to your car plant. They're all coming from the UK. But Brexit has now just made that process so much harder. Because again, the UK has now sort of left the European Union and, of course, sits outside the single market and customs union, something, again, I want to heavily start to stress that Leave said we would not be leaving. Like I say, after Daniel Hannan said, only a fool leaves the single market. But the big case, as always, is for business. You want to get the best product at the best price and at the quickest time possible. And because we are no longer out of that, prices are now up. All the UK exporters now have to do some really quite expensive paperwork. And the nominal price for doing one of these, there's just like one piece of this paperwork is about £250. Now that's not all of the paperwork, but just an example. £250 per load. And you're not allowed to have multiple things now in the lorry. You've got to be one particular load. You can't split. That increased your logistical costs. That paperwork itself. How many loads are you going to send a year? And at £250 extra, at roughly around having to maybe even make sure you have that expertise. Maybe in your office, if you don't have to have it in your office, then you could be paying, I don't know how much it costs to bring someone that type of expertise into your business, let alone maybe a couple of times a year. So as you can see, the costs for sending stuff to the EU are skyrocketing, meaning now British firms are now going to have to start increasing their prices onto their consumer, which will be the people in Europe. And we have said time after time after time, they're going to start looking elsewhere. And in this case that we are covering here, they absolutely have started looking elsewhere. And it's probably not just in this sector with beetroots. There are probably a lot of other sectors that have seen this story and are being very, very nervous about the next time that their EU their supplier or someone who regularly buys from them phones them up. Is it going to be the call of, sorry, we're not going to do business with you anymore? Because as we've said before, that's like 30 to 40% businesses that we have seen before have said that they have lost 30 to 40% of their business that they've said they've lost. Some are even more than that. But again, we warned about this. But as always, before we do Joe jumping into this article to see what is happening down on the farm, please do remember to hit that like, share, and subscribe button. And of course, down below there are links to my Patreon page and a one-off link called Buy Me a Coffee, where you can, buy me a coffee. And as always, thank you very much to all those people who do support the channel that way. So, on with this. Brexit from BBC News. Shockingly, tons of beetroot left to rot as EU firms look elsewhere. 500 tons of beetroot is being left to rot due to a collapse in demand caused by Brexit, a farmer says. Will Woodhull, who grows beetroot, spring and onions alongside cereals at his farm in Peckeridge in Staffordshire, has expected to lose over £90,000 after the border rules introduced in January has seen firms in the EU just look elsewhere, particularly for perishable goods. Like I say, speed is of the essence, especially for perishable goods. And if you're waiting out the border, as you saw just this last week, I think it's still an issue down in Kent. I think that queue is still there. That's going to cause problems. Mr. Woodhull said that he expected to turn the crop into compost instead. I've been driving down the road and got a phone call, he said. I wasn't expecting it to be, can you have 5 more loads, please? But it was, then it's no more homes for it. We've been trying to get rid of it. left and right and even centre, trying food schemes and various things, but haulage is just an issue and no one wants to pay for it. And although Britain voted to leave in the EU in 2016, last year, of course, was the first time outside the single market and customs union. And since January 2020, forms have to be complete and filled in before products can even leave the UK. And after Brexit, Mr. Woodhull said that he anticipated problems, but had so grown a smaller crop. And with business, when business boomed, he decided to increase production again, only to be suddenly cut off. Mr. Woodhull is now having to consider a new plan, be it possibly his new compost beetroot to try and enrich the soil for another crop, barley. Used for beer, he believes the crop could be a far more stable market. The government said that traders needed to get used to the new rules, but also take advantage of the quote, new trade deals being negotiated across the world. Again, it's not that easy. We've discussed this time and time and time again. Of course, this was going to be an issue that crops up, but this guy can't just send beetroot to New Zealand or Australia. It's just not possible. It's just not how international trade works. But again, it sounds good. As an excuse, as we saw just a couple of weeks ago, of Boris blaming UK businesses of being lazy and not getting the benefits of Brexit. But that's not the case. That's not how business works, not how international trade works either. You don't just suddenly go, oh, I've got a new trade deal with Australia, time to pack up all those beetroots and send them to Australia. That's not how it works. But that's the unfortunate state we are in, with most of the Conservative Party just not really understanding that, and will spout off that same line as always. Well, they can take advantage of all these new, quote, trade deals. We've only got two officially, Australia and New Zealand, and they're not exactly better than the ones we had when we were in the EU. So, whoops. But of course, again, that's Brexit. So, as always, thank you very much for watching. Please do remember to hit that like, share, and subscribe button. And of course, down below, there are links to my Patreon page and a one-off donation link called Buy Me Coffee, where you can, well, buy me coffee. And as always, thank you very much for watching, and we'll see you all next time.